Our team's so back course to talk about some more PlayStation, Sony, PlayStation showcases that hopefully aren't a fucking drastic letdown this time. I came across a rumor on Twitter earlier today about a potential other PlayStation showcase happening this year, which would be, I think, kind of a good thing, because this last one was, for the most part, underwhelming. Obviously, some people enjoyed it. There are people that were really, really excited to see the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. Obviously, getting another extensive look at the Spider-Man 2, that was exciting. But overall, a lot of the shit that we've seen just wasn't that good in the majority of people's eyes. And obviously, when it comes to us here on the channel, we were looking towards that showcase for the Rebirth trailer, right? All signs seem to point to that. I don't know if the event was unintentionally hyped by Jeff Grubb, because he was the one setting up to be this big showcase. It's supposed to set up the next phase of the PS5, and obviously that's not really what this event did. Now, it ultimately doesn't matter now, because we've had a couple weeks since that PlayStation showcase, and we've had Summer Game Fest, and we got a Rebirth trailer, so we're happy. But there's still other things that people were wanting to see at that event. For me personally, we knew Konami was going to be at the event, and that ended up being just the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake or whatever. But I was hoping for some Silent Hill shit, and that didn't happen. It's there's 5 Silent Hill games that got revealed almost a year ago. Where's another trailer for one of them? And I know it's been a few weeks, and we're still dunking on the showcase, but it's it was just so underwhelming for what it should have been, because we hadn't had a showcase in 2 years, right? I think the last one was 2021 up until we got this other one a few weeks ago, and it's there's so many things that you think would be shown off at that event, and it didn't happen. And all of this is to say that another showcase, I think, is kind of a good idea. At the very least, maybe a really, really stacked state of play. We definitely need something else from PlayStation. Now, I initially first heard about this showcase from this account on Twitter, but I was skeptical at first because this account's a little bit... shady's not the right word, but they tweeted out a few days ago about Remake hitting 14.1 million sells, which isn't true. And that was obviously kind of exciting at the time, because it got people talking for a bit, because what the fuck, when did that happen? We haven't had any updates for, Remake sells in quite some time. I think the last time that I remember was 5 million sells, and that was 2021 or some shit. I don't remember. It's been a long time. They've never given us updates, so it seemed like that was a shocking number, and it's because this person's confusing, or maybe intentionally confusing, I don't know, the remake with FF7 original, because we got it revealed, I think, from Katase back in February, that the original FF7 had reached 14.1 million sells. See, when I initially read their tweet, I was I don't know if I should trust them, because they kind of pissed me off the other day with their lying-ass tweets. But they actually linked to a thread over on Icon Era, which is a site I've never damn heard of, where I guess the rabbit hole goes deeper. So if we hop on over to Icon Era, it's a thread that's just linking to a tweet, so we're going back to Twitter. So we started Twitter, hopping over to this thread, then we're going back to Twitter, and this person's going to link to some random Chinese forum shit. It's a whole journey I went on this morning. So if we pull up DarkClong's tweet, it says, Sony still holding another PlayStation 5 showcase according to the A9VG source. They confirmed this year we'll have another showcase, and China Hero Project still have one game, Ming Dynasty, some other game shit that doesn't matter to us right now. And if you click on the link provided, it brings you to this site right here, but it seems to not work for desktop or whatever. It shows up a mobile phone. It doesn't bring up the forum, and if you tap on the link with the Twitter app, it opens up just fine. I don't know. And for whatever reason, I couldn't get Google Translate to translate this page. I don't know what that was about. So I had to end up downloading the Google app on my phone and using Google Lens to actually translate what this person actually said. So here we finally have this translated forum post, again translated by Google Lens. It's not the most accurate, because it does mention China Star, but that's supposed to be China Hero Project. But it says, I chatted with Mr. Bao from China Star in the offline lecture, and I have a few points. It is basically confirmed that there will be a showcase level press conference this year. And again, it goes on to talk about that game that we don't care about. They also followed up with another post, and as you can see, the translation things on screen, Google Lens doesn't let you save images. You have to screenshot and crop weird. It's annoying. But they go on to say, Lost Souls will be released in the first or second quarter of next year. A lady at the scene helped me ask. And actually looking into it a bit, China Hero Project was something that was started back in, I believe, 2016 by Sony Interactive Entertainment Shanghai, essentially to help Chinese game developers enter the market. And if you go over to their Twitter account, they do have a Lost Soul game as their banner photo, so I don't know if that's the game specifically they're talking about, or a different Lost Souls game, whatever the hell. And the person on that Chinese forum did actually provide a picture of Mr. Bao, or Bao Bo, as I've learned his name to be, who is apparently the Sony Interactive Entertainment Director of China Game Production. Bao Bo is his full name, which is kind of a cool name. Again, we've been on a hell of a journey today, just to read one forum post. Now, obviously, when it comes to this picture itself, it could have, I guess, been grabbed from anywhere if there was potentially a fake leak or rumor or whatever the fuck. But at least it's an actual picture of the guy, so it seems legit as of right now. This is what he looks like if you Google the guy. So at least it seems legit, they're actually at some sort of press conference and maybe got to talk or ask this guy questions. So according to him, who's like obviously a big guy over there in like Sony Interactive China stuff in Shanghai or whatever, according to him, I guess there's supposed to be another like showcase level event at some point this year. And I've seen like one Reddit post pick this up, and people in the replies were kind of skeptical, as you should be. Like obviously none of this is confirmed. This is a fucking post over on a random ass Chinese forum that I know nothing about. And it's fine to be skeptical, for sure. But one of the reasons somebody was skeptical was like because it takes time to put these together. Like PlayStation showcases, according to them, take like 4 to 6 months to put together. And maybe that's true, but it's also you're just kind of rolling trailers. You might have to have like a commentator saying some shit. The last one had like Jim Ryan coming on screen talking at certain points, right? Like obviously, like stuff like that's gonna have to be like written and practiced and rehearsed and things like that. But for the most part, you're just rolling trailers for however long you want to do the showcase for. So it's not that complicated to get together realistically. I mean, hell, Sony could hit me up, throw me a bunch of trailers, and I could put together a PlayStation showcase probably today if I really put my mind to it. It's not that hard. But also, we're only in June right now. There's still 6 months left in the year, so they have plenty of months to put one of these together. Nobody's saying that this would be happening next month or anything, right? Like, there obviously would take time to get this together. But anyways, all this shit aside, the idea of another PlayStation showcase happening this year, I don't know if like the history of PlayStation Showcase, I don't know if I followed them all here on the channel. I'm not even sure when they first started. I could probably Google that, but whatever. I don't know if they've ever done, do they do multiple a year? Have they ever done that before? Like earlier in the year and then later in the year? Has that been a thing? Like a spring and a fall one or some shit? If they've never done that before, then I guess maybe there'd be no reason to expect that. But if they have, then there's a precedent set there, obviously. I think it makes sense given the sort of fan backlash, so to speak, from the previous one, just it being a letdown in the eyes of a lot of people. Like, I think another event would be kind of good just to get the hype back, so to speak. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a PlayStation Showcase, like a big hour-long event, but they could do a State of Play and potentially kind of a bigger, loaded State of Play where you can really just roll trailers. You don't have to put a whole lot of work into it at all. There's a little bit of commentary usually with State of Play, but it's really just trailer after trailer, right? So, like, that's a lot easier to put together. And there's plenty of projects people want updates on, right? Like, the Reddit post that I mentioned earlier, that somebody pointed out that there's projects that have been in the works from studios for, like, 3 to 4 years now, like Blue Point and stuff like that. Like, what are we doing? As it pertains to us here on the channel, another PlayStation Showcase and or a State of Play is exciting because those are other locations for a potential FF7 Rebirth trailer. Obviously, it's a PlayStation 5 exclusive game for a set amount of time. I've said before a few times on the channel, but it still kind of amazes me that like Rebirth wasn't shown at PlayStation Showcase just because it is a PlayStation exclusive game. Like maybe like Summer Game Fest has more eyes on it overall than just a standard showcase or whatever, but still like, what's the point of the exclusivity if you're not going to like show off the game at those kinds of events? So I wouldn't be surprised with like what we've seen with like 16's marketing. It was like heavily like shown at these like PlayStation events, like State of Plays and stuff like that. I think like half the trailers or so have been at these kind of events. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went that same route with Rebirth, kind of more than what Remake itself did. Because I think the initial Remake, not Intergrade, was only shown at like one State of Play or something, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really recall all the marketing at all when it comes to the trailers for Intergrade, but I want at least one of the trailers was for sure shown at like a State of Play or something, maybe like the initial Remake Intergrade trailer. And if you actually go back to like the initial reveals for FF7 Remake, we at least had the second trailer, the gameplay trailer, like a PlayStation experience back then. So they obviously do have a history of wanting to show this shit off at PlayStation events. I just don't know if they're going to do it more or less than what like Remake did or more or less than what 16 did. No idea. But that's more or less the video, my dudes. It's a little bit lengthier than what it probably needed to be, but a lot of this video is me trying to track down this goddamn forum post and just translate it, just to see what that person said instead of like kind of a recap of what the person said from somebody else on Twitter. So obviously it's just a random guy. I don't even know if this person has any sort of credibility at all in terms of like leaking shit. But I personally think it makes sense that they'd want to do another one potentially if they already have a history of that, of doing multiple showcases per year. But at the very least, like another State of Play within the next 6 months is kind of a given. They definitely do multiples of those per year, usually one earlier in the year and one later in the year. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And again, we're looking forward to any sort of PlayStation events or really any big gaming events coming up for anything Rebirth. I don't know when we can expect another trailer for Rebirth. Obviously, it's going to be, at this point, clearly post Final Fantasy 16. I don't know. Some people will say Tokyo Game Show, but Tokyo Game Show is still a couple months away, man. That's September. They already gave us a big-ass trailer in June for Rebirth. Like, I don't know if they're going to wait till September to give us another trailer. Maybe, but I'm not sure. I don't know. And there's always the possibility of like a Square Enix Presents. I don't even know when the last time we had one of those. I think it's been kind of a while, right? And I know this video is not supposed to be about like Rebirth specifically, but I know people are clamoring for another trailer. But like, we just got a 3.5 minute trailer not that long ago, and we broke it down, talked about it a lot. Probably made a bunch of videos about it. We'll probably continue making videos about it in the future. But like, it's fine if there's a bit of space between trailers, my dudes. Like a month or two or something like that. It's fine. I don't necessarily know if I want to wait till September to get another trailer, because that feels like a long ass time, but it might be till then. I don't know. But let's relax. You don't want to put out too many trailers, they're going to spoil the whole fucking game. And they're going to do that anyways with whatever trailers they put out regardless, because it's Square Enix. Either way, that's the video. TLDR, the rumored another PlayStation showcase sometime this year. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's going to happen? Is this guy to be trusted? Can we trust this random Chinese form guy? Or not, my dudes? That's the video. Subscribe if you guys want new social networks in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, @DavidYT. That's it. Bye. I don't know what the fuck that was.
I used to care what people thought, but now I care more. And nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Low Game or leave it like Cobain.